Đấy, đặc biệt ở đây một cánh cửa để sức nước và sức gió.
Heavy rains triggered by Storm Wutip have submerged many areas in Da Nang, with floodwaters reaching nearly 80 centimeters in some locations. Residents were forced to stay up all night to elevate their belongings and use boats to move to safer ground. Due to the influence of Typhoon Wutip, Storm Number 1, from the evening of June 11th through the early hours of June 12th, prolonged and intense rainfall caused widespread flooding across several streets and residential neighborhoods in Da Nang City. Many households had to remain awake overnight to protect their belongings and evacuate people and vehicles to safer locations. According to our reporter, Me Suot Street in Hoa Khan Nam Ward, Lien Chiu District, one of the city's flood-prone hotspots, was severely inundated. Locals reported that around midnight on June 12th, the water began to rise rapidly and soon overflowed into houses along Alley 161 of Me Suot Street. In some areas, the water reached waist height on an adult. The rain kept getting heavier. We had to use boats to move our motorbikes and evacuate to higher ground, said local resident Hugh. Tran Xian Tai, another resident, shared, "When I saw the water beginning to rise, I quickly moved electronics and household items to higher places and took my wife and children to stay with relatives in a higher area." Not only Me Suot Street, but according to the Da Nang Intelligent Operations Center, IOC, as of midnight on June 12th, the city's automatic monitoring system had recorded flooding at 9 locations citywide. The most severely flooded area was Alley 8 on Tran Sien Lu Street, Tan Ki District, where the water reached 79 centimeters. At Alley 161 on Me Suot Street, the water level was recorded at 65 centimeters. Emergency crews remained on duty throughout the night, assisting residents in relocating their belongings and ensuring the safety of the community. In Phuc Duc Hamlet, Dai Hung Commune, Dai Loc District, floodwaters rose rapidly overnight, forcing many households to stay up through the night to monitor the situation. Water levels at Ha Tan Bridge reached nearly 0.5 meters, prompting many motorcyclists to push their vehicles through the flooded passage. Numerous vehicles were left stranded mid-road. In several residential areas of flood-prone Dai Loc District, floodwaters surged into homes overnight, catching residents off guard. Entire families rushed to move belongings to higher ground. The prolonged rain also damaged agricultural production. Large areas of crops in the low-lying parts of Dien Ban town were submerged, facing the risk of total loss. According to the Quang Nam Provincial Steering Committee for Natural Disaster Prevention and Search and Rescue, from 4 p.m. on June 11 to 4 p.m. on June 13th, the province is expected to experience moderate to heavy rain. Cumulative rainfall in mountainous areas is forecast at 60 to 150 millimeters, with some locations exceeding 200 millimeters. Rainfall in lowland areas is expected to range from 100 to 200 millimeters, with some places exceeding 250 millimeters. The Provincial Steering Committee has warned of a high risk of flooding, flash floods along rivers and streams in mountainous areas, and landslides on slopes and along small rivers and streams. Prolonged rain could also lead to severe waterlogging in low-lying and densely populated areas. In another move, torrential rains brought by Storm Number 1 have caused severe flooding across lowland areas of central Quang Tri Province and cut off many roads in upland communes. Between June 12th and 13th, moderate to heavy rains, with some locations experiencing intense downpours and thunderstorms, were recorded across the province. Rainfall totals ranged from 80 to 180 millimeters, with some areas exceeding 250 millimeters. Many districts and Kon Ko Island reported widespread rainfall within this range. Border guard posts at La Lei International Border Gate, Ba Nang, and Aveo deployed teams to block flooded roads and restrict access to ensure safety. They also conducted a comprehensive assessment of local conditions and damage to people and property caused by floods, enabling timely and effective response measures. Meanwhile, by June 12th, over 6,300 fishing vessels with 18,455 crew members from central Quang Binh province had taken shelter to avoid the storm. However, 15 boats carrying 115 fishermen were still operating in the Gulf of Tonkin and the waters from Quang Tri to Quang Ngai. Border guards in Quang Binh maintained contact with these vessels, keeping owners and captains informed of the storm's developments so they could seek shelter or avoid hazardous zones. In the province's mountainous areas, heavy rains have disrupted local life. Continuous downpours from the previous night to this morning submerged parts of National Highway 9B in Nan Thuy Commune, Le Thuy district, under half a meter of water. Strong currents over road spills made travel difficult for vehicles. In response, border guard units along the border have mobilized 18 task teams in coordination with local authorities to inspect landslide-prone and flood-prone areas, raise public awareness, and issue warnings. These units are also fully prepared to evacuate residents and conduct emergency rescue operations if needed. Fierce winds and unrelenting rain from Storm Wutip have brought air travel in Da Nang in central Vietnam to a standstill, grounding flights, forcing emergency landings and stranding thousands of travelers. By midday on Thursday, Da Nang International Airport had canceled at least 9 flights, diverted 9 more, and seen 8 planes forced to turn back mid-flight. Inside the domestic terminal, scenes of frustration unfolded as weary travelers lined up beneath flickering monitors, many of which displayed delays or missing departure times. Of the 12 Vietnam Airlines and Vietjet flights originally scheduled to serve key domestic routes, Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, and Phu Quoc, only 1 proceeded to check in. 7 faced delays, while 4 remained in limbo with no confirmed departure. The international terminal was also hit. Flights between Da Nang and Macau, scheduled to depart around 10 p.m. on June 12th, were suspended due to the storm. Vietnam Airlines reported 14 canceled flights between Hanoi and Da Nang from late Wednesday through early Thursday. 2 other flights, VN 7165 and VN 7167, were rerouted to Cam Ranh or forced to return to Hanoi when landing conditions in Da Nang deteriorated. At one point, 7 aircraft circled in a holding pattern over Da Nang, awaiting clearance to land, resulting in a ripple effect that delayed 32 subsequent flights by up to an hour. Nearby Hue was not spared. Phu by airport experienced similar chaos, with delays and holding patterns disrupting schedules. Vietnam Airlines began rerouting aircraft and announced plans to deploy larger wide-body jets on the Hanoi-Da Nang route later in the day. The airline warned that further delays are likely, depending on the storm's movement, and urged passengers to check for real-time updates via official channels. The travel disruption is expected to continue into Friday, as Storm Wutip, which intensified from a tropical depression in the East Sea on Wednesday morning, slowly moves west-northwest. As of noon Thursday, the storm's center hovered west of the Paracel Islands with sustained winds of up to 88 kilometers per hour. Forecasters expect it to head toward Hainan Island at a sluggish 5 to 10 kilometers per hour. Vietnam's National Center for Hydrometeorological Forecasting has issued warnings of widespread torrential rain across central provinces, with rainfall totals expected to reach 100 to 200 millimeters, possibly surpassing 350 millimeters in some areas.